This is the fossil fuel burning history, and this including oil usage, coal usage, and natural gas usage. You can see the development of the fossil fuel burning. And this is the demographic of urban distribution and the age-sex pyramid of the New Zealand population. And why this the rural people, women and poor people, indigenous people are the vulnerable people during climate change. The reason is that the rural people they make living on agriculture. So if they are facing flooding, so they cannot get any money after this natural disaster. And for the women, they are physically weaker than other men. For the poor people, they have limited source and money to reach a better shelter. So when they are facing the natural disaster, they cannot have a good shelter to avoid. For the indigenous people, they do not have high tech, and they're like inferior. They have inferior technology to deal with the natural disaster. For the trade-offs, there are 4 ways to trade off. The first one is home energy. In this way, we can installing energy-saving household product. The second one is generating renewable energy. The third one is avoiding and reducing car or air travel. The fourth one is changing diet. Like we can eat beef less, pork less, eat more vegetables. And these are the reasons for the trade-offs. For saving light bulbs and can directly reduce the light emission and fossil fuel burning. Reducing use of air conditioning can emit less freon. And controlling cars and air travel using is the best way to reduce carbon dioxide. Generate renewable energy through solar, wind, and such, can avoiding burning fossil fuel. Avoiding eating dairy product can mitigate methane emission. And this is a graph to show how likely people are to engage to reduce the greenhouse emission. So as we can see, the people are more willing to install household products to save energy. And this is a history of New Zealand to sign the Kyoto Protocol and the Paris Agreement, and there are few requirements listed on the board. And this is the timeline. The timeline, as we can see, this conclude the Paris Agreement and the Kyoto Protocol development, and the Kyoto Protocol effect on politics. The New Zealand made a vulnerable pledge at Cancun to reduce or limit greenhouse gas emission by 2020, and this is happened in 2010. And these are the advantages of involving the Paris Agreement. The reduction of severity of climate impact for New Zealand will help protect New Zealand's economic, social, cultural, and environmental interests. And second one is involving the Paris Agreement may assist in the building a more productive or competitive economy by providing new and expanding business opportunity in New Zealand for New Zealanders to export abroad. And there are two disadvantages. Because the New Zealand agriculture sector is the most one is globally recognized as having limited cost. So this one is so there are few opportunities to reduce emission comparatively. The second one is that the New Zealand will be obliged to scale up its climate finance, which will impose fiscal and economic cost. The quantum of future climate finance contribute from New Zealand will be considered as part of future budget cycle, but will likely be among a modest progression beyond pre-2020 climate finance contribution. This is my recommendation for New Zealand, this country, because there is no big industry pollution. The main greenhouse emission is from the car, the fossil fuel burning, and the beef and the dairy production. But the main economy for this country is the dairy export, so we cannot cut down the production of dairy. So my recommendation is raising the price of electricity. So in this way, people will use electricity more carefully and efficient. And for the future movement, New Zealand can still produce dairy to export abroad for the economy growth, but they can save energy in electricity usage. Controlling the price of electricity is also an effective way to reduce fossil fuel burning. The cost for this recommendation is need society as monitor, since this requires more self-discipline, so people may act some waste energy action unpurposely. So the government and the media should spread the energy saving awareness to the citizen. The benefit cost analysis. The benefit, obviously, we can save a lot of energy and reduce fossil fuel burning and greenhouse emission. And also the government can use the money from the penalty of high electricity using to develop the renewable energy. For the cost, fuel investment, the government need investment for the ad, as slogan and poster to spreading the awareness, but just a little bit cost. And personally, I think for the vulnerable people such as women, indigenous people, and kids, they can save this is an easy action for them to do. Like they can turn off the light while leaving the room. So I think this is not a big problem for them.